I'm Lisa Raleigh, and this is your wake-up call. Keep it real, powered by Ned Group Life. Let's make it happen. Breast cancer is the leading type of cancer in South Africa and around the world. But the good news is that early detection and treatment can almost guarantee a full recovery. Today I chat to Sam Gallier, a breast cancer survivor. Sam, it's one thing knowing the stats and another thing being one. How has this affected your life?
It's the type of disease that once you get it, it's a lifetime commitment, because every little ache, every little pain, if you get a little headache, you think it's brain cancer, or you think, and it's terrible because you do become a little bit paranoid. But at the same time, I think it definitely changed my life for the better in terms of helping me prioritize things, understanding what's important, and also understanding to listen to my body and know my body. If something goes wrong, why don't we do something about it? Because like with our car, if we take it in for a service and there's something wrong, we go back and we say, what's wrong? But with our bodies, we just leave it and we sweep it under the carpet.
What are some of the best ways to prevent breast cancer?
The most important thing is to understand what the risk factors are. The risk factors for breast cancer are 5 things. The first one is high-fat diet. If you're smoking, you need to stop because there is a direct impact and it's measurable, and we know now that it definitely causes cancer. The next one is alcohol. And I know in my age group, it's a big problem. We're very focused on going out and having a good time and peer pressure and all that kind of thing. The other one is sedentary lifestyle, which is no exercise. And the last one that I think is very interesting and very important is stress.
And that's a new one in the last 10 to 15 years.
Definitely. And I think particularly for women. And your poor body needs to be able to have a bit of a time out. So it's about finding the balance, which is extremely difficult nowadays.
So is the key to prevention early detection?
Definitely.
Okay.
You're quite correct. And I think the most important thing is to be aware of the fact that early detection does save lives. It's not just one of those statements. It definitely makes a difference. If you look at cancer stats, if you find cancer, breast cancer particularly, in stage 1 or stage 2, you have a 70% chance of survival. Wow. That's a great stat.
Absolutely.
The minute that you move from stage 2 to stage 3, that drops to 30%. Now, those are scary numbers, but you have the power to change that. And all that means is by going for a mammogram or self-examining. And the understanding that you have the power to change your future, why wouldn't you want to do that? And I think us as South Africans, because we're so apathetic about our health, we don't tend to do a lot of home-based prevention.
And we just go see our doctors
when we're forced to. So if we're buying a medical aid, or if we're doing something within our organization, our company says it's a wellness day, you need to go do that. But we don't seem to be very proactive. And it is a case of educating. But it's also, there's also a myth out there about mammograms, that mammograms are painful. Now let me tell you, mammograms aren't as painful as having your breast removed. Yeah. So it's a small price to pay. Yeah. And I think people need to start thinking about it a little bit differently.
Your case was slightly different. Why did you land up taking on one of SA's biggest medical aids?
I think it was just one of those things where I didn't have a choice. When I was diagnosed with breast cancer, I did my chemo and I did all of my surgeries. And it was bad because I had a pretty aggressive breast cancer. But I was only told after I'd finished that treatment that I had something called HER2 breast cancer. It's a breast cancer that only 15% of women have, and it's extremely aggressive. The only chance of survival was this really ridiculously expensive drug called Herceptin. And my medical scheme had been amazing up until that point, and then they said, sorry, we're not going to pay for this. The chances of my cancer coming back was so much higher if I didn't get that drug, or the chances of dying or needing 100% more medication. Why would they do that? Because it was going to cost them more anyway in the long run. At the end of the day, we won our case, and the woman that needed the treatment got the treatment. Based on that, I now have a cancer NGO that fights for the rights of cancer patients.
We've all heard the name before, but what does underwriting actually mean? There is now a more streamlined form of tele-interviewing in underwriting, so it increases the likelihood of your claim being paid. To find out more about today's show and our featured experts and the chance to win awesome daily and weekly prizes, log on to keepitreal.coza. It's imperative that each and every one of us take responsibility for our own health. This is Lisa Raleigh from Keep It Real. See you next time. Keep It Real, brought to you by Ned Group Life. Let's make it happen.